Hi everyone, my name is Emily for those of you who are new to my channel, and for those of you who watch me regularly, you'll be used to seeing me doing readings, but I want to do something a little bit different today. So one of my biggest passions is empowering people, and that was why I launched Sacred Space, because I wanted to kind of offer a platform where people could align their mind, body and spirit. I also do spiritual coaching with a few people who are part of the Empower membership of Sacred Space. But I kind of felt that doing readings all the time meant that I couldn't really, do one of my biggest passions, which is offering guidance to help you maybe break free of current restrictions and just live like a more empowered life. So each week I want to record a little guidance video or how-to video, and these are going to be on a range of topics. So feel free to drop me some suggestions, guys, whether this is tarot, crystals, spiritual, relationships, or just general. Anything that you want me to kind of offer my perspective and give guidance for, do let me know in the comments. So for today's video, something which I've noticed quite a lot in the past few weeks is people struggling with maybe like negative mindset and toxic thoughts, and it's really frustrating when we realize our thoughts aren't serving us. We know it full well. We're very conscious that we have these negative thoughts which are creating anxiety, maybe even depression, but we can't seem to break free of them. Even though we know that the thoughts are negative and lies, we still can't shift our mindset. So today's video is going to be about how you can turn those toxic thoughts around so that you can be more mindful, so that you can align yourself with positive thoughts. Now, lots of people will suggest, go and distract yourself. When you have a negative thought, shift your awareness away from it. But that's really challenging to do, because what you're doing is you're taking that negative thought, you're putting it in a box and you're trying to ignore it. But that thought is going to be rattling around in that box, making as much noise as it can until it gets to pop up and be heard again. So temporary distractions only offer just that, temporary relief. It doesn't actually remove the thought from your headspace, and that's what we want to do. So imagine it's like a garden. You've got this beautiful garden, but it's full of weeds. If you don't pull the weeds out of the ground from the roots, then it's just going to keep growing. You can't cut it down and expect it to disappear completely. So one thing we can do is we can control our thoughts. And if we don't control our thoughts will start to control us. So it's really important that, first of all, you remind yourself, I have the power to choose my thoughts. As soon as you wake up every morning, that is such a good affirmation to use. Look in the mirror or just write it down or say it in your mind. I have the power to choose my thoughts today. And straight away, you're reminding yourself that you are in control. You're not letting your thoughts control you. Because often we wake up, we maybe have loads of things we need to do for the day. We feel stressed. We feel like we've just got to get up, get dressed and start our day. But when we do that, we're not creating a mindful space to actually set our intentions for the day. And I think that's a really important practice. So try to maybe have a few minutes. You could do this as part of your gratitude journaling exercise. So if you do gratitude in the morning, or even just your morning coffee or morning walk, or whilst you're brushing your teeth, we all have, something we have to do in the morning. I think brushing your teeth is a really good one to do. So whilst you're stood in front of a mirror, just keep repeating in your mind, I have the power to choose my thoughts. Now, because this reminds you of your power, you can then now take the next steps. So the first thing is, a lot of the time we don't really know what we're thinking because we're so used to the negative dialogue that we're just accustomed to it. It's like white noise. It's just in the background. So a few times a day, especially when you feel anxious, because I think normally we experience anxiety and we're not sure where the anxiety has come from, but it's because we've had these negative thoughts leading to it. But like I said, because you're so accustomed to the negative thoughts, you're not even aware that they're there. It's just this noise that you're used to. So create some time. Doesn't have to be long, just 5 or 10 minutes. And ask yourself, what am I thinking? What is on your mind? Now, you may be having lots of negative thoughts and you realize what you're thinking. So, you know, this might be something that you choose to do because you're having the negative thoughts. But if it's because you're just feeling generally anxious and you're not sure why, then create that time and space to ask yourself, what am I thinking and how are these thoughts making me feel? Now, I love to write these down because for me, getting it out on paper really helps me work through my thoughts, but we're all different, so you might not need to do it that way. But personally, I would get myself some paper, get myself a pen, and I would just ask, you know, what am I thinking? And just write down whatever comes to my mind. And it could be loads of thoughts. You might find that actually it's not just one thing. There's loads of things on your mind, and it's this collection of toxic thoughts which is kind of building up into this negative mindset. So once you've written down or asked yourself, what am I thinking and how does it make me feel? You can then go deeper. I want you to then look at each thought and ask yourself, where is this thought coming from? Why does it exist? Why am I thinking this way? And you can start to kind of rationalize with these thoughts. You can start to look at, you know, where they really are stemming from. Is it an insecurity? You know, you might have this thought about a relationship, you know, or like someone who perhaps you're in a relationship with, or maybe an ex, or you can have these whole range of thoughts about things. And when you dig a bit deeper, you realize that actually those negative and toxic thoughts are there because I don't feel secure in myself. But because you've not gone under the surface before, maybe you've never been aware of where that thought stems from. So this can take a bit of practice. And at first you might not even be aware of, you know, where the thought comes from. But just keep going, keep trying to find the truth. You know, the more you interrogate the thought, the more you're going to understand about it, and you can really see the whole picture about where that thought comes from. You might realize that actually this negative thought could come from childhood. It could be because of something you experienced when you were younger, and that's just now become this fact that you tell yourself, and actually it's not. It's just like a conditioning from childhood. So once you've interrogated your thought and found the deeper truth, found the deeper issues about that thought, you can then find the truth. So this is where you now look at the thought, you look at where it comes from, and you can now like sit there and be like, well, actually, this is clearly a lie. And actually, this is the truth. This is the version of the truth. So this is where you stop believing the lies. You stop believing the toxic thoughts, which you're so used to listening to. And you kind of like, you find the truth about the situation. So if this is something to do with your body image, you know, you might have all these negative thoughts about the way that, you know, you look, about your appearance, and you kind of go deeper and deeper with that. And then you can actually start to find the truth of that and start to notice what beautiful features you have and like bring your attention to those. Or maybe it's that perhaps you're worried that maybe you can't trust your partner, but those trust issues could come from childhood, or they could come from previous relationships. So maybe you've got these negative thoughts about your partner, but they stem from something which isn't true, which doesn't exist within that relationship. So that's where you understand, okay, I have these trust issues because maybe I was cheated on, maybe one of my parents had an affair, you know, old experiences. And then you can find the truth, and the truth is, well, actually my partner's never given me a reason not to trust them. That is the truth. That is the fact that you should now start believing and reminding yourself about. So once you've found the truth that you want to, you know, repeat to yourself, that is when we start work on rewriting our thoughts. That is where we've found the toxic thought. We understand now the root of the toxic thought, where it comes from and why it exists. And we've found the truth of the situation. And now we can start to, every time we have that negative thought, we repeat the truth. We repeat the fact. So this is why I love writing it down, because you can write down the negative thought you have. And then underneath it, you can write down the truth. And whenever you have that negative thought, you can remind yourself just by looking at the paper, okay, well, that's the truth. That's what I'm going to repeat. So whenever you have that toxic thought pop into your headspace, you simply repeat the truth. And this over time will start to rewrite those toxic thoughts and change them into a more positive mindset. Now, this takes practice. At first, because you're so familiar with the toxic thoughts, you might find it a little bit difficult to rewrite them. You might find that when you repeat the truth, you don't believe it. And that's just because you're so used to listening to these lies. So it is challenging to begin with, but don't give up. You know, you might feel completely ridiculous as you repeat the facts that you found. But the more you practice, the more you'll start to believe it. And that is kind of the power of this exercise. Now, you can find affirmations. So you can repeat the truth. And you can also find affirmations to help change your mindset about this. So if this is to do with kind of like your appearance, or even if it's to do with relationships, whatever it is, maybe give yourself 3 to 5 affirmations which are going to help you as you start to rewrite your thoughts. So as soon as that toxic thought pops in, I want you to repeat the truth, and then you can get to work on repeating some affirmations around that. So, you know, for example, if this is to do with, you know, your body image, then remind yourself, I am beautiful inside and out. You know, I am worthy of self-love. I love myself unconditionally. Remind yourself of like the beautiful features that you have, and stop those negative thoughts in their tracks. Now, if this is to do with relationships, then you can remind yourself, you know, I am worthy of love. You can remind yourself, I am in a happy and secure, loving relationship, especially if this is to do with trust issues because of previous relationships. Even affirmations like, I let my past go. You know, there's so many that you can do. Drop your suggestions in the comments below as well. Because I think it really depends on what, you know, your toxic thoughts are and where they come from. It's such a personal experience. And that's why when we go online and we search for, you know, affirmations, I think sometimes that can take out a lot of the healing, you know, because what you're doing is you're looking for other people's affirmations. A key part of this process is to do this by yourself. It's the reflection. So that's why if you follow these steps and then take your time thinking of your affirmations, because these are going to be unique to you and your experiences. You might have had something very different happen to you, whether this is, you know, recently or whether it is from childhood. And only you understand how those unique experiences affected you. So this isn't an easy process, but it's definitely easier than people realize. You know, it can feel so uncomfortable to begin with, but it doesn't take long for you to start to see those results. And for me, this is the only way I've ever managed to control my thoughts. I've tried everything. You know, I struggled with anxiety a lot growing up. I tried to silence my thoughts, ignore them, do things to distract myself. But at the end of the day, those negative thoughts always come back into our headspace if we don't resolve them. And we're always going to have more negative thoughts in the future. That's why it's important each morning when you wake up, remind yourself, I am in control of my thoughts. I choose my thoughts for today. Because this isn't a one-time exercise. This is something that you'll have to do kind of like repeatedly. You know, you might have a challenging week at work and like your anxiety starts to come back and you want to make some time to do these exercises just so that you can manage your week. So, you know, don't feel like you've failed if you have more negative thoughts popping up. You might even find that as you rewrite some of those toxic thoughts and work through them, different ones come into your headspace, which maybe you've just not heard as loudly as the others, but they've always been there. So let me know how this goes for you. Let me know if this helps. Like I said, this is just something that I have done which has really worked for me, which is why I wanted to share it with you. There's lots of other techniques as well on how to work with toxic thoughts and shift to a more positive mindset. But I think this is, you know, it's a really quick way to do it. It doesn't take long, and it's free. It doesn't, you know, you don't have to go and spend money on therapy or counseling. It's something that you can do in your own time, and you can do it as often as you need as well. So if you find time to do this, let me know in the comments. Let me know how it helped you. I hope you enjoyed this little guidance video. And like I said, any topics or suggestions, whatever it is, drop it in the comments, and you know, I will start recording those videos for you. Each week I will be here with a different one, so if there's something you want to see, it's really important to let me know. But yeah, let me know how you found this. A little bit different than our usual reading, but hopefully you got a lot out of it. So I will see you back here soon for another reading, and I will see you back here next week for our next little guidance video.